There are so many little things about Flaming Moe that I loved. That makes this a really great episode. With regards to the actual overarching narrative, it was okay. But for me, it was more about individual moments. This is the 11th episode of the 22nd season of The Simpsons, directed by Chuck Sheetz and Mike B. Anderson. And the title did confuse me a bit because at first I thought, haven't we already got a title with Flaming Moe? But that's Flaming Moe's. But the main narrative I'll get to in a moment, as it might take a little bit more to kind of dig into it and share some thoughts. But we have a subplot involving a new music teacher at Springfield Elementary. Does this mean the original music teacher is gone forever? I don't know. I will find out in due course, I guess. But the new teacher is Miss Juniper, and Skinner falls for her a lot, and we kind of see a different side to Skinner here. And I really liked Skinner in this role, and I thought it was really fun and definitely a very interesting sub-narrative, mostly a really fun one. It also gave us guest voices with Kristen Wiig and Alyson Hannigan, so that was pretty great as well. It's not my favourite narrative. I'm pleased it was the subplot rather than the main focus, but I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. So the main narrative, I'll get into in a moment. I just want to mention three bits actually, that I loved. Three small things. And the first is having Schicklgruber as Mr. Burns, one of Mr. Burns' middle names. I just thought that was hilarious. And then we have Gertie the dinosaur. A year or two ago, it would have meant nothing to me. But I've reviewed Gertie the dinosaur, and having that incorporated in The Simpsons, that's brilliant. Absolutely loved it. We also have the dog called Neil Patrick Hairless. Brilliant. Such a well-written episode. So many small things that made me so happy. With regards to the bigger thing, the main narrative, I feel like there are a lot of stereotypes in there, but Smithers provides a good counterpoint. And every time there's a strong stereotype or something that maybe doesn't work, Smithers will say something, not necessarily against that stereotype, but Smithers will come along and say, Moe, you can't do this. So it's kind of providing a bit more balance. Basically, Moe creates a gay bar. He turns Moe's into a gay bar because nobody else is wanting to go to Moe's, and Smithers can't get into the hip gay bar across the road. So he convinces Moe to turn Moe's into a gay bar for the average man. And there are a lot of characters in this. Some are new characters who are pretty awesome, such as Comic Book Guy's relative. And we also have, well, I won't spoil it by saying all of the characters that are in it, but I don't know if this is true, but I think this is the first time where they've put their hands up and went, yeah, Smithers is gay. I could be wrong about that, but it took me by surprise that they were just being so blunt with it and finally just saying, yeah, enough playing games, let's just admit it. And I could be wrong, as I said, there could be another episode, but it certainly took me by surprise, in a good way. I'm pleased that they no longer feel the need to kind of skirt around it and just go straight up, yeah, here we have another gay character in The Simpsons. And I loved it, and I thought it was brilliant, and I love the fact that Smithers didn't like what Moe was doing because it showed that you can't, manipulate people, which is basically what Moe was doing. Moe necessarily wasn't doing it intentionally, he just wanted the money and then for people to like him, but it shows that you do need to be honest about who you are and not manipulate people or indeed take advantage of people. There are a lot of gay stereotypes in this, and I feel like they did it in a way that's not well, I don't know, there are a couple of times where I feel like the stereotypes could be offensive. I personally wouldn't find anything offensive in this, but there are chances that it could be. But for the most part, I feel like the stereotypes are positioned in a way where something happens and then Smithers immediately, or relatively immediately, says something to the effect of, you can't treat gay people like this. So it's kind of balanced, but yeah, if somebody said, I find it offensive, I could understand, because there are a lot of stereotypes in this. But the characters are all very likeable. I don't think anybody's painted in a negative light at all, apart from Moe, who's taking advantage of people. So I think the balance is pretty decent. I enjoyed this a lot. As I said, I don't necessarily know if I love the overarching narrative. but so many individual little things meant that the journey was just really delightful. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know if it's one of my favourite episodes from season 22, but it could be a contender. Contender for a top 5, maybe. Either way, Flaming Moe was pretty delightful.